Dinamo Zagreb have dominated Croatian football for the last 20 years, winning 18 out of the previous 20 competitions. But what happened if we removed every single player which wasn't homegrown at club? Would Dinamo's fantastic youth academy system carry them to victories, or would they crumble? Today we test that out in a Dinamo youth only from the very start rebuild. And when looking through the team, you might be very similar to me and thinking most of these players are homegrown at club. Or sorted by our best 11, no goalkeeper, no right back, no centre back, no centre back, no left back, no DM, no DM. We have a right winger who's 26 and average, no cam, no left wing and no striker. Our whole starting 11, other than our right winger, are not homegrown at club, which means we've got some serious work on our hands. If you remove every single player, you come up with this side, which is absolutely horrendous. A bunch of 1.5-star players, a few good young academy players, but overall, it's nothing to write home about. And to be honest, this is a complete and utter mismatch of players which are either going to be homegrown at club, currently trained in nation, but will be homegrown at club, and there's just a couple that are instantly homegrown at club. I don't know if it's just me, but I was very sure Dinamo Zagreb were a club that brought through youth academy players and one of the best teams at doing that. I was completely wrong. And it's not exactly like there's a lot of potential in the side. With ages, our striker is 25. We've got a 21-year-old winger who's quite good. Of course, we've got Martin Baturina, who is going to be absolutely impossible to keep hold of. Hopefully we can do it for 3 or 4 seasons, but I can't imagine he's signing a brand new contract, and his current contract runs out in 2027. So it could just be 3 years of Baturina. We have Spikic, who was the starting right winger, who's 26, and then 2 2-star CDMs who are 18 and 20, and a very average defence with not a lot of potential. The good thing is, here at Dinamo Zagreb, we have a 4.5-star youth recruitment, very good youth facilities, very good training facilities, and a fantastic reputation. And in terms of building up players through the squad, it should be the easiest team in Croatia to do with this. But that certainly doesn't mean it's going to be easy. With Manchester United, it took us 10 seasons, the same with Ajax, and just 7 with Sporting. Get your comments in down below, get your predictions in. How many years is it going to take us to turn Dinamo Zagreb into Champions League winners, and how many trophies we win along the way as well? Without further ado, let's just see what an absolute mess Season 1 is going to be. Well, as expected, the Champions League went horribly, and we got knocked out in the 3rd qualifying round to Malmo, which means we went into the Europa League and got knocked out in the league phase before getting knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Croatian Cup to Ajax Split, and not even winning the Croatian Super Cup. We were also a whole 8 points behind Rekia and finishing in 2nd, which might not seem so bad, but when you look at their ridiculous history of being an absolutely stupidly, ridiculously dominant club, I mean, this is what we're scared Man City could potentially one day do, what PSG do. Well, Dynamo are that. But we've just taken all their players away and given them very average young players. What we have done is we have got Luka Vibranic, Martin Baturina and Juan Jose Cordoba locked into our 3 central attack midfield spots, because I'm so scared that Martin is going to leave, and you can see already he's not happy about we haven't won the league. He's going to be off pretty soon. So Luka Vibranic is going to be our superstar, and hopefully this guy can develop into our starting cam. But not only that, he needs to really, he needs to get the club, put him on the back, and carry us to whatever he can do for the hopefully 15 seasons we've got of him. I don't know how long this is going to take. It could take ages. But Luka Vibranic is going to have to be the guy that gets us a Champions League trophy. Juan Jose Cordoba is decent, not the greatest potential, but is certainly a good player to use for now. And obviously we know how good Martin Baturina is. In terms of the rest of the potential, the squad's grown a little bit. A few players have certainly developed, but the exciting thing to check every single season is the new Wonderkids coming through. We've got a bunch of 4.5 stars, a bunch of 5-star players as well. And of course you can still see some players here that we are trying to sell. I've had to do it all myself. We are going through and selling literally everyone, offering them no contracts. They're not getting any game time whatsoever. It's just taking a long time because the amount of players we had to sell that weren't homegrown at club. But that is season number 1 in the books. We haven't won any trophies. We're not on top of the Croatian League. So straight away, we've got to gain that back. And our European run was absolutely horrendous. We are in the Conference League next season. So let's see how we get on. And with the young players developing last season, we'd managed to build quite a decent side after just a year, and Dario Spikic off the right hand side was going to have an absolute game here and carried us all the way to a 2-0 lead in the Croatian Cup final. Now this is a two-legged affair and we are playing Hajduk Split, the other major side in Croatia, and we actually walk away from the first leg with a 2-2 draw. And what was effectively the home leg, we turned it on, and Dario Spikic grabbed his third of the tie, effectively a hat-trick, and we grabbed a fourth as well to win our first piece of silverware in a 4-2 victory, and Dinamo are back to being winners of the Croatian Cup. Sadly, the same couldn't be said in Europe, as we got knocked out of the Europa Conference League in the knockout playoff round to PAOK after losing 3-2 away from home. But we did continue to dominate Croatia, and for the first time in this rebuild, win the Croatian League after just 2 seasons. I expected this to take a much longer time, but it's great news. We're already back on top. It's mad. Croatia obviously might not be the greatest of leagues. I just didn't expect you to remove every single player that isn't homegrown at Nation, and Dinamo are still the best team after just 12 months. But is that going to be the case for a long term, or is it just a one-off season? Because we have got some players that will be leaving the club. Martin Baturina is asking to leave. He's requested to leave and he is wanted by many big clubs. He has been instrumental. 11 goals, 11 assists, a 7.14 average rating. Dario Spikic is is now 28 years of age. He has got 33 goal contributions. We have had a young striker come through, Zlatan, not Ibrahimovic, Kosjevic. And this guy looks fantastic. I'm just hoping he can continue to develop, because as it stands, he's great in the Croatian League, but in Europe he is nowhere near good enough. Luka Branic has been great in the cam role with 22 goal contributions, but other than that, the team certainly falls off a bit of a cliff, and we have got to be able to replace Martin Baturina when he does leave next season. While it is great to lift the trophy, I feel like we're a long way off being anywhere near being a consistently winning side. Of course, finances wise, we're now mega rich with £75 million in the bank, and by the end of this rebuild, I imagine it's going to be close to £1 billion, as we pretty much don't buy any single player. They're all on low contracts because they're youth only. And this should be quite a good rebuild for anyone to pick up on the Patreon. If you want to do a Dinamo Zagreb rebuild, if you want to pick up from season 5, from season 20 if we get there, from season 1, you're more than welcome to. Patreon link is down below. £5 a month, you get access to everything, and I'll give away another 3 copies of FM25 to the legends that are on Patreon. So if you want a chance to win FM25, the link is down below. £5, it's like a little raffle basically, you get yourself involved. There's only about 40 members that are currently in it, so you're going to get yourself a very decent chance to get a copy. But let's get in though to the next season. And well, yeah, as expected, we fell off absolutely massively. 63 points compared to Hajduk's 81. That's a very good season. 36 games, 24 wins, 9 draws and 3 losses. We were nowhere to be seen this season. Of course, we finished in second behind Rekia, who won the Croatian Cup. We got knocked out in the second round, which is abysmal. But overall, we were just nowhere near good enough. No one on the top goal scorers charts was a massive, massive issue. Zlatan has really got to step up. In terms of average rating, Luka Branic was the best by quite far, even though Martin Baturina had 5 player of the matches. But because he wants to leave, and he is now leaving at the end of his contract this season, he is very inconsistent. So he is out the door, and we have got a lot of work to do. The squad is progressing nicely. If we sort this by our best 11, it is certainly getting there. I mean, right back to this issue, but we have got a great 5-star Wonderkid coming through there. Trudov at left back, Ziger at CDM. Of course, big Zlatan up front. Just 12 goals in 23 games this season isn't fantastic, and goals is a real issue. But the hardest thing is with these these youth-only rebuilds, is all you can do is hope and pray that the youth academy system works well, that we bring in players, and we become a better side. I can do the tactics, I can do the training, but overall, this is just about what the game gives us and us grinding as hard as we can to eventually win everything. Now in the Champions League this season, again knocked out in the third qualifying round, and the Europa League knocked out in the knockout playoff rounds. So you can just see what a massive task this is going to be. And once Baturina left, things carried to go on a downward spiral, as we didn't win any trophies in 2028, none in 2029, as we now drop to the 3rd best side. And in 2030, we gained our first piece of silverware in over 3 years, thanks to a Pavlovic header, and we had won the Croatian Cup. That didn't mean we were any better in the Croatian League, because again we come third, and in 2031 we dropped as low as 4th in the league, a whole 30 points away from Hajduk Split. It's safe to say the youth-only experiment isn't working quite as well here in Croatia as it did in Portugal, Netherlands and England. I'm not quite sure why that is either, because it's not like in Croatia there's lots of money floating about. I think we're just getting quite unlucky at the players that aren't really coming through the academy. Again, if we'd saw this by best player, we've only really got 1, 2, 3, 4 players that have actually come through the youth academy since we started this rebuild that have made it into the first team, and we are in 2031, so we are 7 seasons in. That is very, very poor. Nowhere near good enough. We need to be producing players at a much better rate than this. Trust me, every single season I'm asking the board to increase their junior coaching and everything like that. We are at 4.5-star youth recruitment, so realistically anyone in Croatia that becomes good, we should be able to get our hands on. And in terms of facilities, well, we're definitely the best in the country by quite some distance. What has also been interesting is the fall off in Croatian football as a whole. The nation, when we started this rebuild, was ranked 7th in the world, and the league in 20th, now dropping all the way down to 28th, which is quite the drop off. And if we look through the schedule for Croatia as well, they haven't qualified for a major competition since the 2028 Euros, where they got knocked out in the second round, and the 2026 World Cup. So quite simply, we are halting the progression of Croatian football as a whole, as we are not having players come through the academy that are good enough, and a lot of players that are in the Croatian team are through the Dinamo Academy. So you can see the effect it's having, not just on us, but on the league and as the nation as a whole. Honestly, what we do to fix this, I don't really know. We need to continually grind through the seasons until we make this team good enough to eventually get back to challenging, which should bring more youth academy players in. What makes it so difficult is we do not allow ourselves to go to the transfer market at all to find 16-year-olds in Brazil who would effectively be homegrown at club. We do this purely from our youth recruitment system. So if you guys do enjoy the challenge of these rebuilds, let me know, because these are very fun. They are also very difficult, and they take a long time to record and actually make, because we're going to go a long time in the future, and you guys actually voted in a poll and voted for this over the Wigan rebuild simply because how difficult this was. The Wigan rebuild came up before it, and this has come out now. If you want me to make the change where I bring in 15 and 16-year-olds as they come through the youth intakes from around the world, let me know, because I will implement it. If you like the grindy aspect of me having to just sit here and eventually get the club to a point, thanks to finally getting youth players that are good enough to come through and we develop them correctly, then let me know that as well, because we can do either. Obviously, these videos are for you guys, so let me know what you prefer. Let's get in though to hopefully the turnaround season in Season 8. And it was like something just clicked in the club, because this season we got to the semi-finals of the Europa League. Given the fact the last 4 seasons we haven't touched anything in Croatian football, that's incredibly interesting. It looks like we've finally had a few of our younger players come good, and that's what I mean about the grindy aspect. The last 4 seasons have been just zooming through, trying to get us to that point, eventually falling off a little bit, and now, because we're using the youth-only system, we are finally getting there. We are reaping the rewards, and we're getting to semi-finals in European competitions. I mean, I wish we were doing better in the Croatian competition, as we do lose in the semi-finals to Hajduk. But after a 6-year Barren spell, Dinamo are back on top of Croatian football and finally lift the trophy once again. Through them 6 years, Hajduk won every single title, so it's clear to see that in Croatia, when a team starts to dominate, they really dominate. So hopefully we can solidify ourselves as that main side, or are we going to have a battle of the ages between Dinamo and Hajduk for the title, season in, season out? To be honest, I hope it's the second option. I don't want to now just go on a run of 15 seasons or 20 seasons or 100 seasons of just winning the league constantly. I want to be able to build this team into a team which battles for leagues, and we build the Croatian league up as well, because I feel bad that the whole Croatian national team is absolutely rubbish. Now our team is looking very different to sort of when you guys last saw it. I mean, I say that, it's not looking too different because, as mentioned, there's only 4 players in here that are regens and Wonderkid players. We've got Zlatan Kosjevic, who was developed into a fantastic striker, and I'm very happy to see his development. Before, there was not a single yellow stat. He had about 11 finishing and 12 pace. That has now definitely gone up to 14 composure as well, so he is now a very good striker. Cordoba, since the start, has developed nicely as well, with some great physicals, good dribbling and first touch, and very good mental stats. And Hasic, who is our first regen player attacker anyway. These are the key players which really take these seasons on board. He looks okay. He doesn't look amazing. I don't imagine he's going to be anywhere near Champions League winning quality, but he's certainly good enough to put us in contention for the Croatian League constantly, and obviously do decent in other European competitions. Luka Vranic is at this point a Dinamo legend. He is a fantastic central attacking midfielder, and I've been managing to secure his contract for 4 years every single time, which is fantastic. So it looks like he is going to stay rather than that snake, Martin Baturina. Vito Kacic in CDM is very average, as is Ziga, to be honest. Neither of them are great. Both of them can sort of defend and progress the ball to our front forward. That is sort of the game plan. Our right back is actually very decent. Very rarely do you get a good right back with good speed and good crossing, so very good to play in this system, as you can see from our left back, who is completely incompetent with 5 crossing. It's the gamble we have to take. At centre back, Savetko and Zivkovic have developed quite nicely, both very decent, and Cavallina is still in goal. Actually a very good goalkeeper. He is out on loan when you start the rebuild with Dinamo at Lokomotivia, who are also, Alzjek. He has actually been great now for a whole bunch of seasons, and very happy to see him in the squad because he has certainly helped actually keep a decent defence. Even though the defence isn't great, he has been great in goal, as you can see from his 7.09 average rating. Hopefully now we can kick on in this rebuild and really turn Dinamo into that dominant club. And of course not, because what I said is possibly going to happen is going to happen. We're going to have a 2-team race for the rest of this rebuild for the league every single season, which makes it quite exciting of how many Croatian leagues we can win. Can we beat Hajduk over the course of this rebuild in titles, or are they going to be now the dominant side in Croatia? We come second on 72 points, quite a big gap of 7 points, something to certainly reach up on next season. We did, however, win both the Croatian Cup and the Croatian Super Cup, which is fantastic, so still getting our trophy fix in. Well, the Champions League, we got knocked out to Real Madrid, and to be honest, I'm very happy. A 3-0 loss, our first time in the knockout playoff round, playing against probably the best team in the world. I mean, just to mention a few players, even now in 2033, a 30-year-old Bellingham, a 35-year-old Mbappe, a 31-year-old Musiala, Dennis Seaman, Camavinga, Tom Bischoff. It's a very good side, a very dominant side, and we've only lost 3-0 to them. So that's certainly credits to us. And the Croatian League just continues to get better as well, as we are now up to 11th in overall ranking, and it starts as 20th. So that's great to see. This battle is actually making the league better. But sadly, in terms of Croatian national football, it's falling off the face of the earth, as we are now ranked 40th and going nowhere near doing anything like they used to in the 2018 World Cup of getting to a final. We are now lucky to qualify for a competition. In 2034, we gained back our title, and Hajduk, we thought we fell off a cliff. My God, a 32-point gap has opened up. That's a 39-point swing in just one season, and we are back to being on top of Croatian football, and hopefully to dominate it for years to come. Maybe not. There's a new kid on the block. Osijek win their first title of the rebuild, and we drop down to 3rd. I mean, it's doing wonders for the Croatian League, as we're now up to 9th, but I need to be winning trophies, and if we can't win the Croatian First League, what hope have we got in Europe? As we lose to Arsenal in the round of 16, and continue to not win the Croatian Cup, as we get knocked out in the second round again to NK Istra 1961, who are the 4th best team in Croatia, but by 25 points. 2036 was certainly a weird one, as we dropped to 4th in the league, and are now miles behind everyone. Meanwhile, in Europe, we were battling with some of the richest clubs in the world as we faced Newcastle in the semi-finals of the Europa League. Madrid finds Marchetti to make it 1-0. At this point, it is just full of regens before we make it 1-1 from Mikolic from our central defensive midfield spot, before someone that's not a regen is going to grab a goal for us, and it is that legend, Luka Vranic, to make it 2-1 against Barren, and gives us the lead for the first time in this tie, and it is going to be, sadly, for the last time as Newcastle scored to make it 2-2 and beat us on our home turf in penalties. So sadly, we still are yet to see a European trophy lifted. That European run certainly showed that we were going to be a good enough team to compete in Croatia once again, as we lift our trophy for the first time in 3 seasons on 80 points and clear of the rest and continue to build on this side, which is now becoming more and more of a regen side as our current players in real life get older and older. I mean, like the fact that Luka Vranic is now 32 years of age. Kvetko, who's our left centre back, is 32. Zivkovic is 34. And Cavallina is also 35. I mean, even Zlatan up front is now 33. So we are nearly into full regen territory. And they're still not really that good. Momovic on the right wing is very average. Hassan on the left wing is very quick, but very average. Ziga in DM isn't great, and Mikulic, while he did score, he has only got 4 finishing. Kulov at left back is okay, and so is Surovic, but there is a lot of improvement to be made. This team really isn't good enough to win the Champions League yet. We got knocked out in the round of 16 by Liverpool this time in the Europa League, second round of the Croatian Cup again. Somehow in the Club World Championship, I don't know how we've qualified for that in the slightest. In this actual rebuild, we have won 4 trophies in 13 seasons. Well, 4 first divisions in 13 seasons, with 3 coming in the last 6 years. So hopefully we are now going to start to dominate the league. I know I've said that before. I really think it could finally happen. The facilities are staying as they are. They have dropped off and we have improved them again, constantly going back and forth with the ownership to continue to improve stuff. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue. There's £200 million in the bank and £100 million spent on transfer budget. Invest that into the youth and we'll be much better off, because this team needs to get better and better and better. We have got a lot of 5-star players starting to come through, which is fantastic. And you can see our left wing and our DM are both starters and 5-star potential players. But we need to continue to improve. And as mentioned, it's all having a massive effect on how Croatia are on the national side, as we've now dropped to 58th in the world. I mean, that's horrendous. We're now ranked among the nations of Costa Rica, Syria, Mali, Guinea. I mean, Northern Ireland are only 8 away. Nations that are better, Thailand. I mean, Angola, Romania, Jamaica, Scotland are better at football than Croatia. What have we done to this poor nation? 2038 was a very difficult season, season number 14, as them players we showed you last time out are now really starting to age. Our striker is now 34, but Vranic is up at 33, centre-backs are 35, goalkeepers 36, and it showed in the league as we come second to Osijek by 20 points. We really need that youth academy to now kick in. And well, lucky for us, that is exactly what has happened, as we now have 10 plus players that have 5-star potential. We have a brand new goal scorer in Pejo Gorican, who has 16 finishing, great pace, great composure, and bagged 28 goals at just 19 years of age. And a great new right winger, and Endrio Hurvo, who is now 20 years of age, having 28 goal contributions in 41 games, a 3.5-star player, lots of room to improve, 19 determination, great speed, 6'1", both-footed. This guy is great. And them two alone made a massive difference as we gained back our Croatian First League title and do the double for the first time in what seems like forever, as we beat Slaven Belupo 5-2 in the Croatian Cup final. Still some way to go in Europe, as we got knocked out in the league playoff round by Stade Rennais of the Champions League and knocked out in the knockout playoff round after going through the league phase against Dinamo Kiev. But this young side is now really starting to take shape, and I think we are on to a winning formula. As we win the league again in 2040 by 3 points of Osijek, sadly just about miss out on the Croatian double for the second time in this rebuild by losing to the final to Rekia. And well, let's be honest, not having the greatest time in the Champions League as well. Just 1 win, 1 draw and 6 losses. I can't believe we are 16 seasons in and this is still we stand in European football. But the team is certainly getting better and the youth academy is certainly starting to produce. The amount of Wonderkids now on this team is outrageous. I mean, there's nearly a page of 5 stars, there's a whole page of 4.5 stars, and it goes down, but we are certainly doing better. Ability-wise, our best player is Andrio Holvaj. Peter Lucha Pajaka as well is fantastic as our striker. We have just lost all of our real life players. We are now just a full regen team. Oldest player at 31. Luka Branic retired as a Dynamo legend. 458 games in the first tier of Croatia with 195 goals. He is retiring with just 5 Croatian caps. Maybe that's the issue. They should have given him some more caps and they'd have been absolutely fine. If you guys are looking for a solid Croatian cam to use on your saves, this guy is brilliant. He has done it at a very consistently good level with just 1 season below a 7. And that was the first season. The rest are all above a 7, some 7.48s in there, which is unbelievable. Scoring a whole bunch of goals, getting 120 assists as well. Luka Branic, you're an absolute legend. I mean, I'd have thought he's a legend anyway. Apparently just an icon, which is disgusting, given the fact that technically as a manager, I've not played a single game. I've overseen a fantastic, rebuild and a 4.5-star manager. How am I a legend? And someone that played 458 games and never left you and scored 195 goals and got 300 plus goal contributions isn't a legend. FM, that seems very, very wrong. I mean, Mateo Kovacic is on here. Modric is on here, which is fair enough after, doing bits. But Luka Branic, that seems like a robbery. As does not winning the Croatian League. We nearly made it 3 in a row, but we lost to Osijek, who have become sort of the team which we have been battling with. Hajduk have completely fallen off. They are now sitting as the 3rd best team still, but realistically here, you can see the last 5 years has been Dynamo first, Osijek second, Osijek first, Dynamo second, Dynamo, Osijek, Dynamo. Absolutely mental. This has been a very good battle and sort of what we wanted in terms of this. I just didn't expect it to be with these. We are still obviously developing these players at a great rate. Pijaka is a fantastic striker now. 28 goals, 3 assists, outrageous pace, great composure, great finishing. This is the sort of striker we've been begging for, and he is good enough to win us the Champions League. That sort of pace, that composure, and that finishing. We have got our superstar striker. We just need to build everything up else around him. Josh King is an Australian cam that has come through the academy. Awesome to see a different nation coming through. This guy, again, is unbelievable. Great technique, great decision-making, flair, long shots off the ball. Great to see he come through. And in terms of potential, I mean, it's ridiculous. This season, we do get out of the league phase in the Champions League, eventually losing to Barcelona in the knockout playoff round. But that's a very decent effort. Croatian Cup, we bottled it. And the Croatian Super Cup, we do win. One in 2042, we grab back our Croatian First Division. 77 points, a dominating season with just 1 loss is absolutely fantastic. Again, we are out of the league phase, finishing in 23rd. And again, losing in the knockout playoff round after being 3-0 in the first leg. We eventually lose 6-3 in aggregate to Borussia Dortmund, who are the dominating side in the Bundesliga. So it's not the end of the world to lose to the best team in Germany. You can see we are certainly progressing. We're now starting to dominate the Croatian League. We have won the Croatian Cup again this season, and the team is looking unbelievable. And we've also had what I think could be the key to unlocking this team finally come through. Ernad Radanic is a 20-year-old central attack midfielder with 20 flair, 16 determination, 17 technique, great physical stats, 6'1", extremely consistent, and I think he is the second coming of Luka Modric. This guy looks unbelievable, and I genuinely think he's going to be the difference between us, being a bit part team to being that team. The same goes for Josh King, the Aussie centre attack midfielder / CDM. Again, looks absolutely fantastic. And as mentioned as well, we have got our goal scorer, Peter Pijaka, 17 pace, 13 finishing is more than good enough. And with them players developing, we saw a massive improvement in the league phase as we finished in 16th, just 5 points away from that top 8. Which includes Bournemouth, by the way, which is absolutely mental. And for the first time in what seems like forever, we have got through the knockout playoff round by absolutely battering Celtic 6-2, showing that Croatia is better than Scotland, at least in the, club competitions, because nations-wise, it's gone stinky wrong. I've been listed as the 56th best nation stinky wrong. But I still can't get over that. In the round of 16, we faced up against Barcelona, the team that knocked us out just a few years ago. But how much we'd improved since then is pretty ridiculous. We grabbed a 1-0 lead before Barcelona pegged us back to 1-0 thanks to Kajowski scoring at the front post. But we're going to leave Dynamo as 2-1 winners as Hervo finds a great ball in behind to the Bulat. bullet, and he makes it 2-1. But that was all looking pointless as we come back to the new camp and we concede for Barcelona to level the tie up. There's simply no way we can come back from this. Well, that's what you think. Edna Radonjic showing what a super player he is, scoring in the 115th minute to grab us the lead on aggregate, and we head to the quarterfinals. We face Newcastle, another team we've had severe history with in this rebuild, and we take the early lead thanks to Piyaka at the back stick before losing, well, conceding for the game to go 1-1. Let's take it back to Dinamo to hopefully win the second leg. And that is exactly what is going to happen as we score from the spot in 35 minutes and be tight and get a late goal in the 85th thanks to Piyaka. Dinamo are heading to the semi-finals of the Champions League. Are we finally about to do it after 19 seasons? Well, it was PSG who stood in our way, and they also made it very difficult. Scoring in 36 minutes, we go down 1-0, but we bounced back quickly and grabbed an equaliser again, looking to take things back to Dinamo and use that home crowd to our advantage and get to a Champions League final. And Adriano Horvage was our saviour. He plays the ball into the middle, he cuts back inside, he drills it in the 38th minute, and Dinamo take a 1-0 victory against PSG. Slightly undeserved, pretty dominated, but that doesn't matter. We win, and in the Champions League, what matters is who wins the game, and we are going to the final. Well, we are facing up against my team, Manchester United, and I would hate to lose to them in the Champions League because, I should be managing them. Radonjic scores to make it 1-0 in the 49th minute, and in the 85th minute, we grab a second as well and lift the Champions League with Dinamo. Wowza, 19 seasons it's taken us, but we have finally built Dinamo into once again a dominating Croatian side as we win the league table and we win 4 out of the past 5 seasons, similar to what they do in real life. We have not won the Croatian Cup, believe it or not, but we have won the Champions League. A 2-0 victory. The team is very, very good. There's a few holes here and there, but we have got our superstars. Radonjic in Cam this season was outrageous and has progressed into an absolute superstar, as has Piyaka up top. If you guys do want this save over on Patreon, the link is down below to pick up this Dinamo rebuild wherever you want and carry on the challenge. If you want to pick up at the end, well, there's £450 million to spend and you're European champions. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you next time.